particular platform I use, Restream, it's really good. I love it. It lets me stream all over the place, and they've recently upgraded the thing so you can stream to even more places, 30-something places at once, and I don't have that many, but it's fun. But anyway, it counts down 3, 2, 1, go, and the number doesn't just appear. It goes 3 and then fades into the screen. 2, 1, go. Like a countdown ready to explode. Today I want to talk about professional work. What is that? Sometimes we use the word professional, a professional occupation, engineers or any, I think of engineers especially, but the P-Eng, P.E.N.G is a designation someone gets who gets an engineering degree, often an advanced degree, and then goes and takes a test or two to get a certification that they've mastered the skills of their craft. Now, lawyers, doctors, others are also considered professionals. And we use that designation to say, okay, that's an occupation where the person, did something, got a certification, has a certificate, a recognized way to acknowledge their study. Another way we use it, a little bit looser, is to say, well, he's a professional gardener, a professional baseball player, meaning somebody does it and gets paid, as opposed to a hobby. I'd like to completely explore a different way of thinking about that. And it's brought about by something that happened this morning. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, I hired a videography crew to come and shoot a lot of video for me, not just a few things, but 2 entire days of shooting. And the purpose, I have 29 video topics that I wanted to talk about. Some of them were the story of stories that I've told in my Tightrope of Depression book. Some of them were to describe how I went from where I was, which was a professional, as with a C-level, this and that and the other, in different companies, to becoming a coach. Now, a coach, I'm a certified professional coach. That's one of those things where you go get a stamp in your forehead that says you get something. But anyway, they came and they spent 2 days. And when they came, they said, all right, we'll be there at 9 o'clock on a Thursday, and it's going to take us 2 hours to set up, right? And I thought, holy cow, what? Are they doing that so they can have lunch 3 times? I didn't really think that, but I wondered what would take so long. I was curious, actually. So they came and they set up for 2 hours, and I was impressed because I've dabbled in photography. I've had a number of very expensive cameras clear back before they had autofocus, right? I had the old Canon F1, which was the heavy metal body, back in the days when they had heavy metal bodies for 35 millimeter full frame cameras. And it cost a lot of money. And I dabbled in some portraiture and entered some contests. And I took the New York Institute of Photography school and, different things to learn framing and picturing stuff, exposure, focus, lighting, and a few things. But I never would have called myself professional. Anyway, one of the things Joy and I always talk about is the purchase of equipment, because, you can buy entry-level gear, you can buy good gear, and then you can buy professional gear. And sometimes it almost feels like the difference between mid-level stuff and professional gear, the price difference is just huge. And unless you really know what's going on, you don't even know what the difference is. And kind of like it feels, well, they just charge that because they can. Anyway, they came and they set up stuff, and it was amazing to me because the kind of a light hood they had, I'd never even seen before. And I've seen a lot and had a lot of things. I was impressed. And the kind of battery packages and voltage supply units so that the light would never bobble at all. And on. It was really, really impressive to see the gear that they set up. And I thought, wow, okay, 2 hours. And one of the crew sat in the chair I was going to sit in for the interview, and the other one just tweaked endlessly. It's a 2-camera shoot on the 2 cameras to just get the focus perfect and the depth of field perfect and all the things you see in professional stuff. Well, that was just me watching them set up, and it was pretty impressive to watch it happen. And then they did it, and we shot for 2 entire days. And we didn't start, they came at 9 o'clock on the first day and got set up by 11. We started shooting at 11:30, and we went till about 4:30. So we had about 5 hours or so of footage. And then the second day we started shooting at 9:30 and went until about 3. So we had another 5 or so hours of footage. We have 10 hours of footage on 2 cameras. And I didn't get a chance to see any of it. I trusted their work, and the setup was impressive. Anyway, this morning, the other day, Thursday, today's Saturday as I do this live. Thursday, one of the people from the video crew came by, and she gave me a disc, one of those external hard drives that you get from Best Buy or from Memory Express or something. Anyway, it was over a terabyte, well over a terabyte of files, right? Pretty significant because it was all shot in 4K, so it was big files and everything else. And I did notice one of the cameras they had was a Blackmagic camera, and it had more controls on one little square of it than I'd ever seen on any of my gear, so I knew I didn't have any real professional gear someday when I'd had gear. But anyway, here was the gasp for me, the gasp. I just blew my mind. I hired also a creative director and video editor that lives in Denver, and I had been trying to figure out how to get all this footage to him. I thought about buying one of those little hard drives and mailing it, and I thought there's got to be a better way to do that, even with a terabyte of data. So I looked into Dropbox, and it has a file transfer facility if you have the right plan. So I upgraded my plan and got that. Send all the stuff. I upgraded my internet so I could get super fast internet. Now I have 1 gig down and up. 1,000. I remember when 50 down and 20 up was considered really good. 20 down and 5 up, and then 100 down and 10 up. And I had 150 down and up for the last little while. And now when I do the speedtest.net, boom, 900 and something down and up. And I'm sure there's things that are even faster than that, but I've never had one. Anyway, so I got all those files uploaded in 8 different packets because 100 gig was as much as I could send. And I sent it all, and then I thought, I need to take a look at this. And this is where the wah comes in. So I opened one of the files. He gave us both the raw footage and the color-graded footage, which is unusual. Often they won't give the undeveloped footage, but these guys agreed to because my creative director wanted it. When I opened one of the .movs, which had been color-graded, I almost fainted. I have never, it was, blew my mind so profoundly. I jumped up out of my chair and I ran upstairs to get my wife, who's also my business partner, because she had worried about the cost. I mean, it was expensive to hire these guys to come shoot for a couple of days, a 2-person crew. So anyway, I went and got her and brought her down and she put a robe on. She came because I get up pretty early, and she hadn't gotten all dressed yet. So anyway, she put a robe on, came down to see, and I played her a piece of the clip, and her mouth dropped open, and she said, "Wow!" And I said, "Yeah, there it is. That's what I was talking about." And she's, just blew her mind. And I said, "So that was why it was so expensive. That's worth it." And she nodded and said, "I get it. I see it. Holy cow." Anyway, so the reason I was thinking about professional work is I don't have any idea if there's designations for videographers, photographers, creative professionals. I know in the filmist industry they have that kind of stuff. But this stuff, the lighting on my face, the depth of field, the shallowness of the depth of field, all those things that you see in professional work was there in spades. It was so gorgeous. I just thought it was beautiful. Anyway, I'm really excited. I was so excited. I said to Joy, I'm so impressed, so excited, so impressed I can hardly breathe because of the spectacular level of this work. And I didn't listen to the audio to see how that was, but I'm sure it was just as well captured. It was funny during one of the shoots, we'd all set our phones either off or to silent or something. And as an additional precaution, I'd taken my phone and put it over there, a ways away from where we were in a big cushioned chair. But I hadn't turned it off. It was on silent. And so in the middle of one of the shoots, one of the little 10-minute or 15-minute conversations I was having about a particular topic, the videographer turned off the camera and said, "We got to do that again." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, the phone went off." And I hadn't heard it. And the tiny vibration of the phone had been in a big overstuffed chair a few feet away from where we were had been enough for him to hear in the set and say, oh, no, we can't do that. So I was just overall, the whole thing, I was blown away. I can't wait to see what we get out of this and what my creative guy in Denver creates from it and so forth. So that made me think today about professional work. Made me think about my work, the audio work that I do in the studio, recording studio, the music, the coaching that I do, the clients that I have, those that I help. And it just gave me a new and powerful, mind-blowing appreciation for someone at the top of their craft. So rather than a certification, or rather than a particular profession, the way I'm thinking about this now, and will be forever now, and sort of knew that anyway, and I'm sure you did too, but the professional simply means dedicated enough love and intention toward excellence in craft that it is in a space of its own, like master craftsman. You know, they used to have apprentice and then journeyman and master craftsman, and they still do that in trades. And when you think about in the Middle Ages, I've read a book about Michelangelo and others, their apprenticeship, right? And even in the Scrooge, the movie, I've arranged an apprenticeship for you, right? Anyway, it was just impressive. And I encourage you to pick one area at least, and maybe a couple in your life, where you are committed to being at that level of something. You're committed to being world class at that thing. I know I'm thinking that. I know I do that. I hadn't thought about it just the way this yanked me into the presence of thinking about it. And I love it, and I love that reminder. And one of the things that I have in my PTAC, Personal Truth and Commitment Statement, that I review every morning, and I listened to it again this morning before I saw that, was about excellence, about how to be completely present and perfect as much as we can as human beings, but to be totally present, to be committed to mastering our craft as a human being, as well as mastering the craft of a particular profession. So I just thought I'd share that with you today. Professional work at the highest level, one that sets you apart. A book, Cal Newport wrote it, Be So Good They Can't Ignore You, or I think the name of the book is So Good They Can't Ignore You. It's a fun book, and it talks about that. And so I ask myself, and I'm asking you, and I do that all the time. One of the things in my PTAC is that I commit to be coached. Be challenged and coached by every person in my path. And today, the person in my path was not even a person, but it was their work that they left behind. And I chose to experience that in a way that coached me to yearn, to strive, to commit, to breathe 1, 2, 5 levels up. Where are you giving every single ounce of your divine creative power? That's a thought for today. We'll see you tomorrow.